If or Imaginary Friends is one of the newest kids' films to finally hit theaters. There are some high predictions for this movie as far as grossing, and it's doing kind of mid with its total and not so much up to its potential. But what did I feel about this movie? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. If is about a girl who discovers she can see everyone's imaginary friends and embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. The film stars Cailey Fleming, Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, Fiona Shaw, Steve Carell, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and was directed by John Krasinski, and he's done both the A Quiet Place films. So going into If, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, okay, this could be funny. It's a kid's movie. It could be kind of cute. So I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and check this film out. Now, this film, it starts off with 12-year-old B. She is moving in with her grandmother because her father, played by John Krasinski, is getting heart surgery, so he is in the hospital where previously her mother passed away from cancer, and one night she is rummaging through the town of New York City by herself, which I was like, a 12-year-old rummaging through the city by herself? What could go wrong? She's going to buy a charger for her mother's old camcorder, and she spots one of the if creatures roaming through the streets of New York, and she gets really curious. The next day, she sees another creature, and she sees Cal, played by Ryan Reynolds, going up to a house and trying to retrieve another if, played by Blue, who apparently looks like Grimace from McDonald's, which everyone is talking about. And she also sees this butterfly-like if named Blossom, in which she faints, and then she wakes up, and she starts to hear a little bit about these ifs, and finds out these ifs are looking for new children because their old children have forgotten about them. The lead girl, played by Cailey Fleming, I thought she did an excellent job. I thought she was a very mature character, despite all the hardships with obviously the loss of her mother and now her father being in the hospital. She is a little bit down and out and really just not in the best of spirits, though she tries to continue and be positive, which I did like to see her character actually grow and blossom within this film. The ifs themselves, the creature designs, they're all unique. They all have different kinds of colors that really pop on the screen. I saw this in Dolby, so you definitely saw the colors really pop on screen. And I love the unique cast here. You have Matt Damon, George Clooney, Emily Blunt. There's so many good actors and actresses that are behind these ifs, and I love to see them on screen and their different personalities really shine throughout this film. This film also encourages imagination and discovering your inner childhood. The messaging was really good and it had a lot of heart, and it reminded me a lot of Toy Story, specifically Toy Story 3, when those toys are no longer needed at Andy's house. Here you have the ifs that are no longer needed by these children, and now they actually need to be rediscovered by new children. One of the things that I actually feared for this movie is the comedy itself. I understand it's a kids movie, but a lot of the comedy in this film is mainly in the trailer, which really sucked because I was hoping this film would be a lot more funny, especially with Ryan Reynolds in a role like this. I really felt they could have had a lot more jokes that would really spice up this film a little bit and make it have a little bit more comedy and just have people really laughing throughout this film. I felt there was a few little bits that they actually showed in the trailer, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, but it didn't really hit that much because they already showed those funny bits within the trailer. There's also a portion too with just the plot itself that I feel is very jumbled. They have this one part where B is trying to find an if for this little boy in the hospital, and they waste about 20 to 25 minutes on that plot beat, and I felt like it really took away from the film. Now, the ifs themselves, I felt like a lot of times, even though we see a personality trait or two from a lot of these ifs, they show a lot of them on screen, and it feels at times that they're very one note and a little bit shallow. I thought B's problems too, they feel very big, but at the same time, they make them very small. For instance, I didn't like the fact that John Krasinski, he's in the hospital, he's about to get heart surgery, and this man is like overjoyed and really happy. it just felt that they were just trying to make it feel like he was this very upbeat, positive person. And to be honest, anybody that's in a hospital like that, it's not a good situation and it's not a happy moment. So cracking jokes and making him always smile and be this really positive person, I just didn't buy it. It didn't feel very realistic to me. And I understand this is a kid's movie, but if you're going to throw really heavy moments like that in a film like this, I think you need to make them a little bit more emotional and feel like we can actually connect with B's problems. Because the plot of the movie, it feels very uneven. I felt like in the third act, a lot of it was very rushed, and a lot of the things that was going on, I felt like they were really forcing it and hurrying up to rush it to really wrap up the story, which kind of goes into another aspect that I have about this film is a lot of these ifs that they show on screen. It's hard for them to actually make an impact because they just show them once or twice and we go, oh, that's really cool, but they don't really make an impact in the story. And that's very prevalent when we have the scene where we go into this memory lane retirement home where we see a bunch of different ifs and we're like, oh, are they really going to play a big impact in the film, in which they actually don't. And that really ties into the fact that when we get into this plot of us trying to have the ifs actually find their new kids or find somebody else, they kind of rush into a different direction and just didn't really jive all the way into a cohesive story. I felt like it was kind of messy, and it felt like the wrap up of the film, it felt a little bit cheesy. I think from a marketing standpoint, I think this film, it's a little bit mixed and jumbled. And I say that because on one end, it is a PG movie, obviously for kids. I don't think a movie like this would really actually land for a 5 or 6 year old. I think the themes in here are kind of heavy, and I just think that this is more of a mature film that would be more so on like the 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And I think for adults, I don't think they'll be necessarily bored, but I do think the story itself, because it is kind of messy and kind of jumbled as to what it's actually trying to do, I just don't know if this is entertaining enough for adults, and obviously it'll depend on the adults' expectations going into a film like this, but I do think it does actually bring out the emotions. There's obviously some sad moments, maybe some tissues actually needed, and I think in some aspect it does actually bring out imagination and maybe some memories that you would have as a little child, especially if you had an imaginary friend growing up. When it comes down to it, this film is just an okay film for me. I would give it a score of a 2.5 out of 5. I think right now Hollywood is learning the hard way that you cannot just have a big star in a movie and everybody will flock out to it. It has to appeal to the masses here, and I think even though this is a PG film, again, it's too heavy for the younger ones, more so in the 8, 9, 10 range probably to watch this. And then adults overall, I think even though there is some tender moments and moments where, you could probably grab a tissue, I just don't think overall from a story perspective, it's really all that great. And it just doesn't come together all the way and feels very rushed by the third act. And that's why I can say that this film is only a 2.5 out of 5. I wanted to like it a lot more. I was hoping there would be more comedy bits, especially with Ryan Reynolds. And I think a lot of people too were thinking that this would have a lot more comedy, because I have read a lot of reviews where people were very disappointed at the fact that this didn't have a lot of comedy. It definitely did lack in that part of the whole aspect of what this film I think should have had and made it a little bit more fun, because I did feel like at times in here we did need a little bit of spicing up here. I definitely felt like there were times in here where the plot was kind of meandering. I definitely felt towards that halfway mark where I was kind of like, okay, we're kind of meandering off in like little bits of different things and what the actual goal was. And that's really what brought this film down for me as a whole. What did you all think of If? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you haven't checked it out yet, are you going to check it out in a theater? Are you going to check it out on streaming? Or are you going to skip it altogether? Leave any and all comments down below and let me know, what is your favorite Ryan Reynolds film? Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.